Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Yeah, welcome back to Going In Raw Countout, the only pro wrestling top 10 list on this channel that can be found, youtube.com/Steven Larson. Yeah, there are plenty of other places to do top 10 lists.
No, like every place does top 10 lists.
But how many of those people can boast the longest top 10 lists in terms of minutes spent talking about their subjects?
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can say they go a whole hour.
It might be. Some people might go longer than that. I don't know.
Might not be a great thing. Really? You think that
I
they're...
don't know. I'm just speculating.
All right.
Well, I don't know what exists in the
I'm
entirety
not
of
saying that's a compliment.
wrestling internet. No, that's not. I don't necessarily think that's something to be proud of.
Anyways.
Let's talk endlessly on and on and on and on and on. We can't get to the point.
Literally doing that right now.
I know, that's the idea.
We're also available in the audio realm. Be sure to leave us a rating, review, or a comment. Really helps boost the exposure of the show. We're also on the Patreon at patreon.com/Steven Larson. All sorts of great rewards there. Be sure to check it out. If it wasn't for Patreon, Going In Raw would be like
Not a thing.
dither away.
Yeah, not a thing.
Just like that.
What would you be doing if not for the generous support of our patrons?
There's like a producer job at one of the morning Sacramento shows here.
I'd sell pens. Door-to-door pen salesman.
Dude.
High quality pens, though.
Oh, only the finest of pens?
Only the finest of pens, yes.
Man, are you going to stick to like the high income neighborhoods?
Mm-mm.
They've got all the money to spend.
I'm going to canvass every
You're
neighborhood.
going to go to those apartments behind Walmart and Rancho? Excuse me, sir. Would you like a $200 pen?
You could write upside down.
Yeah, you're ever going to
See, look.
space. If you're interested in writing on your wall. I mean, on your ceiling. Anyways.
Yeah.
So Larson's WrestleMania season, it's coming upon us. It's like a week away.
Yeah, it's a week from today.
Yeah, it's a week from tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
A week from today is G1 special.
Yeah, that'll be good, too.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But WrestleMania is known for good stuff, bad stuff, and everything in between, including
Weird stuff.
The weird stuff.
Weird stuff.
What do you think, before we hop into the weirdest WrestleMania matches, what do you think is going to be the weirdest WrestleMania match this year? It's got to be the Andre the Giant Battle Royal with Colin Jost and Michael Che, right?
You'd think so.
That's probably going to get kind of weird. Bray Wyatt's not, he's not in WrestleMania.
See, I don't know if that's be weird. It's just kind of gimmicky. And while gimmicky can be weird, I don't necessarily think it's one and the same all the time. Does that make sense?
Sure. Kurt Angle Baron could get weird.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Triple H Batista could get weird.
Yeah.
That might be kind of weird.
Maybe they'll get meta with it.
Yeah, like they could. They're already doing that, kind of.
Yeah.
Finn Balor's the Demon. They might get weird there.
No, not really.
Asuka, Mandy Rose.
No, everything else, I think they're going to play it pretty
You're probably right about
safe.
that. Randy
Triple H
Orton,
Batista
AJ
might get weird
Styles.
because they're just a couple guys just having fun.
Shane Miz. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Anyways, so yeah. One thing that's kind of interesting about this list is that a lot of these matches show just how much things have changed in WWE. Right now, a week from now when WrestleMania goes down, we're looking at probably in the vicinity of 17 matches.
Yeah.
They are all pretty necessary.
Yeah.
There is nothing really that they could get rid of. If they could, they would do it. You need the IC title on there. You need the US title on there.
All the titles should be defended.
The Battle Royals, you need to fit all those people in there. People like Battle Royals in general, at least I do.
I do too.
There are so many of these matches, though, illustrate how back in the day, they needed to fill that time.
Yeah.
So they filled it with some weird stuff.
Yeah, some weird gimmick matches.
Mm-hmm.
Just some. Let's go to number 10. It's the most
All right,
recent entry on this
number
list.
10.
It's just
Number
weird.
10.
It's just weird they went that route. Anyways.
Braun Nicholas versus Thebar.
Oh, you made them all, both teams' names, one word.
You see how I did that?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's clever.
That's good.
Yeah,
So, of
kinda
course,
clever.
to recap.
Who the hell's that little kid?
That's Nicholas.
Oh.
That's referee John Cohn's kid.
True.
So, backstory to this a little bit. Braun had secured himself a tag title shot going to Mania against Thebar. However, Braun was without a partner. And so I think we spent a lot of time speculating who his partner would be. Would he just win him himself, proving his dominance, in the process burying Thebar? Would he enlist a friend of his? As much as a friend as Braun has. You know, I think it was around this time where maybe when he and Finn were palling around a little bit, the little buddy era with Finn. I cut my timeline a bit off. But we were talking a lot about it. In no universe did we speculate that he go to the audience, grab a kid, and win the tag titles with that kid.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like, here's the thing.
It was really weird.
Like, because Braun pretty much he won the match himself.
That kid couldn't fight.
How is Braun tag teaming with Kid any less of a burial for Thebar than Braun just doing it by himself? It's not, is it?
No.
Because effectively,
in fact, this is worse.
Yeah, it's probably worse. So it was a weird, odd choice. Why not have an actual member of the roster be Braun's partner? Yeah. Why not just have him win him himself?
Yeah.
I mean, if they just wanted to have vacant tag titles, there's any number of ways they kind of got about doing it. I imagine Braun winning the tag titles by himself would have done the trick just as well. Instead, we have the pre-main event match, which elicits a few laughs, maybe gives fans a moment to catch their breath before the would-be excitement of the main event.
Yeah, the supposed main excitement of the main event, which is Roman Brock again. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really add much to what you just said. It was pretty oddball, and to me, really groan-inducing. I mean,
this is a moment when Braun took the step from legit potential main eventer to Big Show 2.0.
Well, that is the point. That is sort of the main point here, is that even in the build, as you said, if you have Braun, here's the thing. If you have Braun beat Thebar by himself as a big dominant monster machine, fine, cool. Braun comes out of that
smelling like roses. Yep.
Pretty strong.
Yep.
When he chooses a child, which is the ultimate form of crowd pandering, you no longer become crazy monster guy.
You're a comedy act.
You're a comedy act. You are firmly a comedy act. You turn into sort of like I don't really know if there's I know there's an analogy here, but those like cheesy kids movies where like a kid has, I don't know, some sort of like imaginary best friend who's like some big super powerful guy.
Yeah.
And then he uses him to combat bullies or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know what movie I'm talking about, but I know I've seen something like that.
I'm sure a movie like that exists, yes.
Right, exactly. That's what Braun has become. No longer a threat, just cheesy kid guy. And again, this year they go to him for cheesy celeb guy.
Yeah.
So this is 2 years running.
That's his lot now.
What would he needs to do? What? So yeah, he's gonna do the Colin Jost. Even here's the thing: it's a no-win situation. Even if he wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, he's still gonna look stupid because he dealt with Colin Jost and Michael Che in the build. It's dumb, and it's really difficult now for him. How did he go from even if you take Kane, Kane debuted, killer feud with Undertaker, won that title off Stone Cold, granted shenanigans. But scary, scary monster. It took Kane 20 years to go corporate Kane, goofy comedy guy.
But that was still great because he had all that stuff in between.
I loved it. I'm just saying it took him a long time
because he had done everything else, and then circled back around to being comedy wrestler.
Is it impressive that Braun has seemingly done everything else?
No, because he hasn't done anything else. He won Greatest Royal Rumble. He got a belt that we've never seen.
Yeah,
that's the only thing he's won. Before, the tag titles here.
His only hope at this point, I believe this, the only hope at this point is that the Saudi Arabian government loves Braun so much that they throw 50 million extra bones at WWE to put the title on him. Mm-hmm. That's the only, he better hope he has some friends there.
Short term.
Yeah.
That seems to be the outlook.
Because, how is he going to get himself out of this hole? Maybe he's got to prove to Vince that he's going to work hard or something.
I kind of feel like you put him in a feud. It's hard to top what he had with Roman. That feud was great. But put him in a long-running, really contentious feud where he gets to destroy stuff a lot. People will come back around to him.
You think do you think he is kind of in the element of a Bray Wyatt where he can always be that guy?
He still gets a good reception when he
Let
walks
me ask
down
you
the
this
ring.
Then.
What?
Let's look at the past. When did Big Show get past the point of anybody of him even being close to be considered, well, no, you can't bring him back now. That's not happening.
Well, at the latest is when he lost a match to Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, okay.
That was WrestleMania, 24?
Yeah, I feel like it was probably during a time when I wasn't really.
But I feel like it was
close
before
attention.
that, probably.
Yeah.
It was probably during that stretch of 5 WrestleManias where he was always at WWE New York.
When he was just hanging out at the restaurant.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Number 9. Actually, was it WrestleMania 2000?
Oh, and he was eliminated within the first 5 minutes of the match?
Right. Could have been that.
Maybe.
Number 9.
9.
NFL versus WWF Battle Royal from WrestleMania 2.
Yeah, this is weird on a lot of different levels. This is, in the early WrestleManias, they got every celebrity, if you're generous with that definition, they could for WrestleManias. The timekeeper for this match was Claire Miller, better known as the Where's the Beef Lady.
Where's the beef? If you were a kid of the 80s, you know that.
Yes.
If you're not a kid of the 80s, you have no idea what the hell that is.
You have NFL legend, TV and movie star Dick Butkus, former Chicago Bear. This part of WrestleMania 2 took place in Chicago. As one of the rest, as well as NFL legend Ed Too Tall Jones as the other ringside referee. What's really unusual about this match is that, more than anything, I feel like, in no way would this happen today. You had about a dozen former and current NFL players who were in this match. I'm guessing with next to zero training, and then you have them taking bumps. The risk of injury seems extremely high. Especially with football players, what they're making these days.
So the average salary among the 1,500 players in the NFL, this is according to the Sun Sentinel, in 1986 was $203,000 a year.
I think the league minimum is more than $1 million now.
As of last year, the average player salary was around $3 million.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's increased by a factor of 10, 15.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And as we've seen lately, we discussed this earlier. So today we're filming this on Tuesday. We discussed this. Players seem to get, because of the way the game is played, across sports, it's just more intense. Athletes are more
They're
athletic,
faster, they're bigger, they're stronger.
and they get injured more often.
Yeah.
I would think, than they used to. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it might be partially that, and maybe the severity of the injuries are worse.
Yeah,
maybe,
that could be.
Maybe medical protocol is a lot stricter these days,
My
where they
main
won't let
point
players
is-
play with any sort of injury. Back in the day, they might have. Yeah.
There's so much more money on the line. How
Yes.
much did Gronk make a year before he retired?
Oh, probably like 10, 12 million.
Yeah. And he was at Mania a couple of years ago, and obviously he didn't do a whole hell of a lot because
He didn't take any bumps, no.
because he was a big star on the top team, on one of the top teams. And so, yeah, what you said, to get back to the point, this would never happen today. But man, way to capitalize on, because the Chicago Bears at the time were the hottest thing in the country.
They were the defending Super Bowl champions. I believe the previous WrestleMania 1, I think there was a battle royal that I think William Perry won. Am I imagining that? I've seen WrestleMania 1 at least a dozen times. I should have that card memorized. Oh, yeah, I guess I imagine that. He won something, I thought.
Yeah, I thought
Anyways.
the Fridge won this. But then when the finish wrapped, I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
No, it was Andre. Andre won.
Yeah, Andre.
Maybe the weirdest thing about this battle royal is that the Hart Foundation were wearing black and blue gear.
Yeah, that always bugs me.
Didn't work.
Didn't work at all. Didn't like it. Yeah, there was a lot weird going on here. But like I said, like you said, they're in Chicago. The Bears were the hottest thing. Even I remember how big the Bears were.
Yeah, not only there was the Fridge in the match, but also
Fridge had a huge pop.
Oh man, he was an icon back in the 80s.
Massive
But then Jimbo Covert was in the match too, I believe. Then one of the offensive linemen for the Bears. No, it was interesting to see the NFL allow that to happen. I mean, they might even have any say over it at that point. And
yeah, I wonder if contracts back then even restricted them from doing other things.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
But like Bill Fralick was the defending or the rookie of the year this season prior, and he was out there.
Yeah,
young player. I'm sure the Atlanta Falcons had a decent investment in him for the time. He looked like he could have been a wrestler though. That guy was jacked.
So here we go. Yeah, he did. He looked great. Let's see here. We had Jimbo Covert, Bill Fralick, Russ Francis
for the 49ers.
So do they say Bill Fralick was the rookie of the year?
Yeah.
Okay. Ernie Holmes, Harvey Martin, and the Fridge. And then, of course, on the WWF side, Andre the Giant, Ted Arcidi,
who they billed as the strongest man in the world.
Tony Atlas, we know him. Hart Foundation, like you already said. The Killer Bees, Hillbilly Jim, who we'll see him later in 2001, and he looked amazing.
Yeah.
The Iron Sheik Mekyu Hembel, King Tonga,
Haku.
Yeah, it was Haku. Pedro Morales. Bruno was in this match. Bruno Sammartino was in this match.
Two former WWF champions from this match, Pedro and Bruno.
Dan Spivey and Big John Studd.
Did you mention the Killer Bees?
Yeah, I mentioned the Killer Bees. Brian Blair. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was pretty silly.
One of the usual things
Pretty
they
quick,
did.
though.
Yeah, it was. The Vince liked to do at the time is bring a lot of celebrities, put in one thing, get mainstream eyeballs on his product.
And
Pretty standard.
It always works, too.
Yeah.
It always works.
Yeah.
Andre, notedly, was wearing
Yellow tights.
yellow tights and yellow boots. This was a year before his iconic Hulk Hogan match.
He didn't have the singlet on here as he did that match.
And the finish came down to him and the Hart Foundation.
Yeah.
And he eliminated both of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Including he gave a pretty stiff boot to Bret Hart.
Mm-hmm.
He fell down.
You know, I may be critical of Bret at times, but he was always a heck of a seller.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one runs into a ring post like Bret Hart, ever.
Or a giant
Or a
person's boot.
Turnbuckle, I should say.
Yeah, that's true. Dong. Moving on, number 8.
8.
Butterbean versus Bart Gunn.
We've talked about this match several times during the course of our WrestleMania themed countouts this month. A lot of the stuff bears repeating. It's weird that Brawl for All was the thing to begin with. Yeah, why do they think professional wrestling can handle any sort of shoot fighting competition? Mm-hmm. The fact that they seemingly handpicked Dr. Death to win a shoot fighting fighting competition still seems weird. And then you take the winner of this shoot fighting competition, Bart Gunn, who won in fairly dominating fashion, and then put him in the ring against a legit tough guy, like a competitive, like a guy who competes and succeeds in tough man competitions. Butterbean is an odd choice because the outcome of this match seemed predestined.
Talk about predetermined.
Yeah, that seemed predetermined. It might not have been decided on backstage, but it was written in the stars for sure that Butterbean was going to knock Bart Gunn the heck out.
Yeah, we go into a bit more detail in the worst WrestleMania matches or moments, whatever it was, matches, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, the look on Bart Gunn's face when he's staring, when he's having the stare down with Butterbean while the rules are being read or whatever.
No, Butterbean is sweating nothing. Nothing.
Bart Gunn understands that his career is probably going to end within the next 10 minutes.
Well, his WWE career.
His WWE career. Because you got to think, like, I still don't understand. Like, for him, it was kind of a lose-lose. Like, would they have really pushed him to the moon if he beat Butterbean?
No.
And if he loses, he's done.
Yeah.
So because you're gonna look silly.
Yeah.
What are you gonna last with Butterbean? No, you're either gonna get knocked out.
No.
You're gonna run away, look like a coward.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if they didn't have to do this, if they really wanted to capitalize on Bart's run and Brawl for All, I mean, if you look at the list of guys he knocked out, is a number of reportedly wrestling tough guys.
Yeah.
Dr. Death, JBL. I mean, he knocked them all out. So just having Bart seemingly out of nowhere knock out a bunch of his contemporaries, why you don't try to capitalize it to some extent, at least give him put him in a program for the Intercontinental title, repackage him a bit so he's more of a shoot fighter.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird thing they did with that Brawl for All.
So this is from Billy Gunn. From, let's see here. Billy Gunn on Bart Gunn getting knocked out. Wrestling Inc. has this transcript.
He's on Stone Cold's podcast.
Oh, it was Stone Cold's podcast. Okay. He said, of course they did want Dr. Death to win. And I told JR from the get-go, don't put Bart in it. I told him from the start. I said, don't put him in because he's going to crush everybody, Billy remembered. When they were putting that all together and he was in, I just started laughing. And of course, JR, and I love JR to death, said this was a Steve Williams thing just because he was coming into the business and he had that reputation. But I just think he was in too deep. According to Billy, he could attest to Bart's toughness and fighting ability, as he even witnessed firsthand Bart take on 15 guys at once in a barroom brawl. Billy said Bart only stopped fighting when someone stabbed him with a broken beer bottle.
Jeez.
He said, I've heard so many stories of him cleaning places out. I've seen him clean out one club in Orlando, and I think it was like 15 guys till he got a bottle stuck in his side. He already whooped 10 guys. He looked down and goes, oh, where did that come from? In Billy's opinion, Bart lost to Butterbean at Mania 15 because Bart took boxing lessons to prepare, but Bart was a fighter, not a boxer. I think it was a disaster all around, and then you put him in there, and the end result is WrestleMania with Butterbean. You put him in there with a professional fighter, and it's kind of like, let's put an end to Bart's reign, which to this day, Bart still wants to fight him. Billy said taking boxing lessons is exactly where everything went awry. There was no part of boxing and no part of finesse, and it was ding, 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 and start swinging. So whenever they started to set this up and said, hey, we're going to have you do this, we're going to have you get ready, and now he's taking boxing lessons, so he comes out trying to box, and Butterbean just ducks his head and swings. Like, I think that's what bothers Bart the most, that he knows that messed it up. That was the thing that put the brakes on it, because he'd be like, oh, now I've got to go face him. Now I've got to learn how to box and move my feet and stuff. What brought you to the dance was these big old mittens. Just sling those around. So I guess he overthought it and trained it in a different way. So, yeah, interesting stuff. But it was very silly and very weird.
It was weird.
Moving on. Number 7. Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal.
It's from WrestleMania 25.
This is highly embarrassing.
So,
God, talk about things that would never be done today.
No, they would not.
What's less likely to happen? This again today, or this, or the NFL versus WWE?
This.
They could find some washed up. Like they could find
some former
active guys.
They could find some recently retired guys who could probably do it. Yeah, like D'Angelo Williams. He was great in TNA.
Yeah.
Impact.
Yeah, they can get some guys in between contracts that are interested. Yeah.
This is a weird situation because preceding this match was a very elongated Kid Rock performance. And none of the competitors in this Battle Royal got proper entrances.
Nope.
They weren't announced.
Nope.
They all came down the ring during the aforementioned Kid Rock performance. And so performance ends, we go to the ring, it's full of competitors, and they just say, here's a Battle Royal. You just have to be knocked out of the ring, not over the top rope. Last woman standing wins. Except in this circumstance, it wasn't last woman standing. It was Santino. I imagine this around the time frame when he and Beth Phoenix were in a storyline together, because he last eliminated her. And in terms of it's a pretty low point in terms of how WWE treated the women's division, especially on WrestleMania, because they're talking about during this match, the Rumble prior, I believe it was Melina defeated Beth Phoenix for the women's title. So you think, all right, major 4 pay-per-views. You think, or maybe it was a Divas title at that point. You think all the belts are defended? Nope. At WrestleMania, this is the women's match.
Yeah.
And you have Santino win it.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine how disheartening it'd be. Or at that point, if they were just like, yeah, well, at least it's not a Playboy pillow fight.
Yeah.
At least it's not a bra and panties match, which is totally within the realm of possibility. I can't imagine how disheartening it'd be. Hey, who's gonna? So we're doing this battle royal. Yeah, who's gonna win it? Santino.
What?
I'm sorry. What?
What?
Oh, he's gonna be under the name Santina. He's gonna be wearing a wig. He's not gonna do anything except for like toss out, eliminate both Beth Phoenix and Melina while they're eliminating each other. Then he's gonna be like, "I'm her twin sister." Oh, cool, Vince. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm getting my paycheck, so. Yeah, that sucks, man.
Yeah, it does suck.
Meanwhile, I think, what year was this?
This is 25, so it'd been 2010?
2010. Meanwhile, around this time, I'm pretty sure TNA was doing some pretty cool
2009,
stuff.
2009.
I think TNA was doing some pretty cool stuff with their Knockouts division around this time.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Number 6.
6.
Hulk Hogan versus Yokozuna, WrestleMania 9. We have talked about this quite a bit. In fact, we did a going-in review on WrestleMania 9
It's such
last
a
month.
fascinating little glimpse into a weird side of wrestling.
Yes.
All the backstage angling and politicking and backstabbing and people being two-faced.
The personal whims of Vince McMahon on full display.
It all is encapsulated in one moment. As soon as Bret Hart loses the WWE title to Yokozuna, thanks to some cheating from Mr. Fuji, seemingly teleporting to the ringside area is Hulk Hogan. He sniffs a title opportunity. And to the ring, he pounces.
much like Lex Luger sniffing a contract opportunity in that Mall of America.
Yes. Or
is that Sabaro's?
Is that Sabaro, or is that an underwhelming contract offered to me by Eric Bischoff? So Hogan, poof, just appears ringside. Ooh, injustice, you say? Here's my moment to strike. So in protesting Yokozuna's cheat win and to fight for this injustice, he somehow gets a title opportunity all his own.
Yeah, let me make this right.
Make this right by putting the title around my waist, brother. The only time wrestling is right is when I'm on top.
Bret Hart can't lace my boots. Oh, are you angling to come back to the company? No. But Vince loved him some Hogan.
But this is like this is according to the Pritchard podcast. They just put the belt on him for like a farewell run before he was gone for good. He had just come back recently from what was supposed to be his retirement the previous WrestleMania. I think to kind of lay low while the whole steroid investigation was going on. But he shows up. He has a tag match with Beefcake against Money Inc. That was awful. Again, just kind of says, "Ooh, here's an opportunity for the Hulkster here to get the gold again." And a clothesline and a leg drop later, he's the champion in a matter of a minute or so. And if you haven't listened to the Pritchard podcast, WrestleMania 9, do so only for Conrad, basically interrogating Bruce Pritchard as to why they put the belt on Hogan and having it make zero sense, and Conrad just losing his mind because of it. It's hilarious.
You know what also makes extra less sense about this that Conrad really didn't take to Bruce Pritchard? Again, what was the reason for Vince wanting to run with Bret Hart?
Because he's super popular in Europe, yeah.
But also because he didn't look like he was on roids.
Yeah.
Who was like the main guy in that roid trial?
It was Hogan.
It was Hogan.
Well, here's the thing:
why would they put that title back on him? He's like the poster boy for that.
I know. Well, here's the thing: is like Pritchard spends the entire first half hour of that podcast talking about how popular Bret was in Europe.
Yeah.
And then Conrad does say, "Is like, well, hold on, I thought you said Bret was super popular in Europe." And I think Bruce says, "Well, yeah, but Hogan is more popular."
Yeah, but if the point of putting that title, like Ultimate Warrior, for example, they brought him back, and then the steroid thing started to blow up, and then Warrior got popped for roids or something like that, and they got rid of him. So let's transition. Let's get it on Bret Hart because he looks more natural, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, then he was also amassing a pretty decent following too.
It wasn't
simply
it wasn't just because of that. But I'm saying if that's one reason, it's like, okay, which of our talents are over, and also, which of our talents first don't look like they're jacked to the gills on juice. Okay, Bret Hart, he's the one who's most over. Let's go ahead and run with him, right? Why would you then say, man, that dude who's like we know is jacked to the gills on is Hogan?
Well, it's because they go to Europe and raise the ticket prices.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
No, they already sold tickets. Yeah. It's added value then.
Didn't make any sense, Bruce.
But Hogan wasn't even on the European tour right after Mania.
I know.
It wasn't until the one after King of the Ring where he already dropped the belt back to Yokozuna.
Didn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Vince took one look at Hogan, saw that he trimmed down. And it's obviously he wasn't on it anymore. So he was like, oh, yeah. I honestly think it was just Vince getting cold feet about Bret.
No, it could be.
I think his natural inclination has always been, well, back then anyways, the big jack guys, and especially Hogan. So, he got nostalgic.
I mean, he always thought, he when he brought Sid over, it was to replace Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Sid is a huge jacked guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That in that period of time, I thought seems like Vince cared just as much as having his performers look like attractions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially the top guys, and I think it's he didn't care so much seemingly about the wrestling ability.
Yeah.
I think he liked the idea of huge people in storylines together fighting.
Yeah, he wanted larger than life.
Yeah, he wanted larger than life, kind of across the board in a lot of capacities. I think literally speaking, he wanted people that were just huge.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Number 5. Roddy Piper versus Mr. T boxing match. Another boxing match.
WrestleMania 2, but this is a completely worked boxing match.
Yeah, it was like a really bad. Here's the thing. Okay, so probably the best worked boxing match in history would be Rocky 4, or maybe even Rocky 1. When Rocky fought Drago. Maybe it was the one where he fought Apollo Creed. I don't know. Well, there was 2 that he fought Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
It was a really good worked boxing match.
Yeah.
This was a really bad worked boxing match.
Well,
and I get the feeling that Vince thought, this was 1986.
Yes.
So, yeah, the Rocky movies had already been done.
This is maybe a year or 2 after Rocky 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're done, right? I mean, whatever.
Yeah, Rocky 5 another few years down the line. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple years down the line. So I think that probably Vince saw those movies, obviously. Everybody saw them.
Yeah.
And was like, let's do that. I bet we could do that.
That was 85 was Rocky 4.
We could do fake boxing matches.
Well, maybe he needs to be aware that movies are shot a certain way to make it look really awesome.
And not only that, they have Foley effects.
Yeah.
So that whenever you see Rocky throw a punch, you hear like a gunshot.
Well,
it's amazing.
It's in the Foley booth. They have someone punching a turkey.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's good. It
It's
really
awesome.
amps up the drama. You got the music and the dramatic lighting and the awesome framing of the shots and the fast-paced editing. It all makes it look really cool.
And all that score.
Yeah, man, totally. You get a couple of untrained boxers in the ring and tell them to do a worked boxing match. It's just flailing fists that have no muscle behind
terrible.
it. It's terrible.
What match looked better? This or that Daniel Puder versus the Miz boxing match?
Oh, gosh, that was awful, too.
That was horrible.
That one was
real.
shorter.
That was a shoot, too. That was a real.
Yeah, that was shorter
Boy,
at
that
least.
was terrible. But yeah, it was obvious these guys were just trying to recreate, or they're just trying to create a movie-esque fake boxing match. And it didn't work.
No, it didn't work
and
at all.
it was really long. It was very long. They went 4 rounds. It was announced to be, a 10-round match. It went 4 before, and it ended in a really terrible way. Roddy Piper body slammed Mr. T.
And got disqualified, yep.
And got DQ'd. It was after he threw a chair at him, too.
And then you take into account all the rumors of bad blood between Piper and Mr. T.
Yeah.
It just makes for a weird match at WrestleMania. It seems like it was on the verge of just completely falling apart at any moment.
Yeah, it really did. So anyways, it was crap. Don't ever watch it.
Yeah, don't
Number 4.
4.
Akebono versus Will. Big Show. This is a sumo wrestling match.
Yeah. Have you watched much sumo wrestling, Steve?
I can't say I have.
It's pretty cool.
Is it?
I really dig the tradition of it, the ceremonial aspects of it.
Sure.
It's really neat.
Did this seem like a farce of that? Kind of felt like a farce to me.
It didn't necessarily feel like a farce because it felt like they were going through the motions of a truncated version of the ceremonial aspects of it. And I guess in that sense, if since they weren't paying the in full the due respect one normally would to the proceedings of a sumo match, I guess in that sense, if you consider that a farce, then yes. I just feel like
Big Show seemed to have been taking it in character fairly seriously.
Yeah.
So there's that to it.
Yeah, but if you watch it, I think back in like the late 80s, back when ESPN used to actually just play sports all the time. They used to show sumo wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And, like the ceremonial aspects they did before this match was a fairly truncated version of what they would do before an actual match.
Okay.
I think the issue is issue of expectations. I think fans go to a pro wrestling show, they want their wrestling match. I don't know if they're that into the idea of the ceremonial aspect of it. And so you have them both in there throwing salt on the mat. I don't know if fans necessarily appreciate what that's all about. My commentary was trying to put it over on the broadcast.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem, though. I was at this match. I was there. I don't remember dick about it. But I guess part of it is just in the setting. When you're in front of a crowd who is there for a laugh and a good time at a wrestling event, they're not going to give it perhaps the proper respect that an event like this sort of needs to have for it to matter and for it not to be looked at as a farce. I guess that's sort of my thing.
Yes.
Because when I think back, we watched it right before we went live. Big Show in character seemed to be taking it fairly seriously.
Up until he did his taunt.
Well, that was his own intimidation technique.
Yeah, I guess so.
He wasn't giggling through it. But yeah, they do it on the WrestleMania stage, or not in the
ring. They take the ropes down.
They take the ropes down. It was just silly, and I feel like this kind of thing probably shouldn't be.
It just feels like
silly.
Part of pretty much any time that WWE deviates from pro wrestling, sports entertainment. At best, the results are mixed.
Wasn't there? Didn't Pritchard mention something about Vince really being into Akebono back? Was he like the inspiration? I could be completely wrong about this. Was he like the inspiration
for Yokozuna? Maybe, because that's when he was in the 90s when Akebono was at his peak in the sumo world.
I thought Pritchard said something about that.
At this point, he'd already retired from sumo wrestling.
Yeah.
And then I think right after this, he started wrestling in All Japan. It's entirely possible. But yeah, it's like I said, I enjoy watching sumo wrestling, and I appreciate that they put forth the effort to bring that style to the WWE. I just don't know if it was a good match.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a good pairing, I should say.
It just felt like one of those things where,
and also I'm pretty sure it was a worked match.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that, which feels like kind of I'm assuming somebody like Akebono could have easily handled Big Show. I don't think it's just a matter of strength versus strength. There's
leverage, there's training
maneuvering,
involved.
all that kind of stuff. Yes. So this might have been like a 15-second thing out the gate, but I'm assuming that's probably the case. I'm not sure the Big Show would have stood much of a chance because that's not his forte.
He's not trained. He's not trained sumo fighter.
Yeah. And on top of that, there's also the injury aspect of things. If you work something, you're less likely to get injured. So that could be, but it just came off that way.
Yeah.
It just came off that way.
Especially how Big Show lost.
Yeah, but Vince, he can't get away from his attractions.
He
likes the attractions.
He likes the attraction matches. He likes his giant beefy athletes.
And just attraction for attraction's sake, not just for there's no story.
Yeah, I know. I think I read a bit on the setup to it, and I guess Big Show must have issued some challenge, and on March 31st, Akebono showed up and accepted it. Like they had to weigh in, and then the match happened.
Yeah, okay.
So not much build. It was, in that case, kind of like, let's set up a huge attraction between, a now retired but legendary sumo wrestler and the world's largest athlete.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Number 3. The Gimmick Battle Royal. It was from WrestleMania 17.
Yeah. Kind of a bad idea when you have a bunch of retired wrestlers who were, probably well into their 40s, if not 50s.
So this is the definition of we have too much time on our hands. We need to fill it somehow.
Yes. Let's get a bunch of legends, Hall of Famers, some.
Which is weird because WrestleMania 17 was
one of the better ones.
And it was after the WCW buyout. So it's not like they were hurting for talent to put on the show.
No, the card was really good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Vince also likes his sort of more, the lighthearted stuff to sort of get the crowd back into a place of comfort. I think right before this proceeding,
Before this was the TLC match for the tag team titles.
Okay.
And then after it was Undertaker, Triple H, and then after that was the main event.
So yeah, you come down. I mean, in terms of match placement, it's probably perfect because this is just a bunch of silliness. But
it was over quick. But it's just an odd situation where you have 20 retired wrestlers, or by and large retired wrestlers, toss them in a ring, and do it over the top rope battle royal.
I want the list of participants.
It's the scroll down. It's down here. It was the Iron Sheik, Hillbilly Jim.
Hillbilly Jim looked amazing.
Yeah, he did.
He looked great.
Luke and Butch from the Bushwhackers. Gotcha. Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Doink the Clown, who I think was Matt Bourne, but I could be wrong. Nikolai Volkov. Tugboat. Fred Ottman.
Mm-hmm. A.K.A. the Shockmaster.
Yeah, the Goon. Earthquake. John Tenta. Mm-hmm. The Gobbledygooker, Brother Love, Bruce Pritchard himself.
Yeah.
P.S. Michael Hayes.
That was awesome. That was great.
He didn't do this though.
No, he didn't. But he did. Yeah, he did this.
One Man Gang, Kamala, Kim Chi, Jim Cornette, Repo Man, and Sergeant Slaughter. Those are the participants.
And then of course the Iron Sheik won.
Without really doing anything the entire match, because I think his knees were entirely shot.
Probably.
That's a story I remember hearing at one point.
And then Sergeant Slaughter then locked in
Cobra Clutch.
The Cobra Clutch. So a little bit of throwback there. People got a good giggle. Very, very silly. And you wouldn't see that. Today you wouldn't see that because who has time for that?
I know.
They find otherwise. For example, Braun and Nicholas to give the crowd a chuckle and a moment they don't give a shit about beyond just the most fleeting moment of entertainment.
Yeah.
So, yeah, garbage. Let's see here. Moving on. Number 2. Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton.
This was I've often compared this to avant-garde films. Like they try to make an avant-garde wrestling match. That's the best excuse I could find for this. This hunk of garbage.
Try to give it some sort of positive spin. Maybe they were trying to do something so artistic it just flew over our heads.
Yeah, but then it's just
the layers of meaning.
But then you sit there and just think about it. Even if you remove yourself from the backstory, and you come to only one conclusion: is that just someone in production was showing pictures of bugs in the ring.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's no extra meaning to it. Really,
there's a fairly lazy wrestling match going on, interrupted by,
or maybe this,
because
all the pictures were generally masses of insects, and the pictures were filling the ring, and then you have Orton and Wyatt, themselves rolling around the ring, taking bumps. Maybe the comparison in this case, because Bray Wyatt said he had satanic powers, and these were the manifestation of his satanic powers. Maybe Bray was trying to compare himself and Orton to those insects. That's the only thing I can think of.
How about this? I'll even go deeper than that. What about this? What if Bray has the powers of Satan? Randy Orton has learned from Bray Wyatt. What if the actual match was happening on a level so much deeper than we can understand? It's beyond our very perception.
Like there's a secondary match happening in some sort of shadow realm.
Yes, exactly. And this is simply the physical remnants, the physical shadow of that much more
But then
explain
the projections in.
It's just a dude in the projection truck hitting a button.
Well, you got to say then the dude in the projection truck, that's a diversion to distract us from what we think is going on.
I don't know, man.
It's challenging us to look past our perception, to think of other ways of perceiving things.
Yeah.
That's what it has to be. I mean, your theory is pointless without taking into account the projections.
Okay, I got it then. I figured it out. Bray Wyatt understands that in our reality, that match is going to look like crap. And so in order to try to approximate to the people what the match is actually looking like in the shadow realm, he paid the production guy to, hey, man, put some bugs on that screen right there, man. And then he's like, yeah, it didn't work, but trust me, that match was killer. I had 8 arms. Randy Orton had 3 heads and a snake behind him.
Yeah.
But really, and we were flowing in a sea of bugs, man. But all he can come up with is like, what am I supposed to do? I'll give some money to the production guy. I'll put up some bugs on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can't fathom how amazing this match is. I can't even try, but I'm gonna.
That'll freak people out.
It'll freak people out too
much. Oh, man, those satanic powers are next level.
Yeah. He's like, look, you'll never understand, but I can do this and give you some sort of illustration as to what we're doing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you go down to the show. What if you see, I'm a bit of an illustrator. What if you were to go down to the shadow realm, you come back and I'm like, Larson, you're like, Steve, this was insane. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, really, Larson? Draw it for me, quick.
I couldn't.
See? You'd be like this. Here, let me see this.
It'd be a flood of imagery.
Look at this. And then, there was lightning here. And then there was a big demon guy.
No, and then there was this dude here, right here, hanging out, with a loincloth on.
Right.
And the biggest damn sword I've ever seen. And he had really long hair.
Yeah.
Except for a huge bald spot in the back.
Yeah.
And he had like spikes for fingers.
Yeah.
And he was breathing fire.
Yeah. And then you show me this, and I'm like, what are you, a child? This is crap. This sounds like the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But that's your interpretation of it. There, we solved it. That match was actually amazing.
No, it wasn't. It was garbage.
Moving on.
Huge pile of crap.
Number
1.
Blindfold match.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Jake Roberts and
this
Rick Martel.
This is a hot take here.
You're gonna say this is actually a pretty fun match.
It's actually a pretty fun match.
It's actually a pretty fun match.
I've heard of it. It's legendary because the gimmick itself is terrible.
If you're watching this on YouTube and you see this still, it doesn't really betray the actual fun this match is.
Because here's the thing: the premise is terrible. Let's get that out of the way first and foremost.
Yeah.
It's carried by the strength and the charisma of the performers. the storyline going on is that Jake, being the cagey veteran he is, isn't going to just fumble around the ring trying to find his opponent, Rick Martel. He goes to the people to help him. Mm-hmm. He starts pointing. And then when the crowd cheers, he focuses his attention that way.
Rick Martel, on the other hand, he's fumbling around.
He's fumbling around like an idiot. And so you have this story where it is actually executed pretty darn well.
It is.
Where Jake will point somewhere, the fans will cheer, he starts going that direction, and just as he's about to get to Rick happens to get out of the way. Mm-hmm. And so as this game of cat and mouse is actually, again, pretty well executed. If you take the ridiculousness of the entire gimmick out of the way, till the very end, I mean, they managed to somehow fight outside for a little bit.
Yeah.
They get back in the ring. Jake hits the DDT. He picks up the win. But I'd heard so much about how god-awful this match was.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I was like, this is actually pretty creative.
I mean, granted,
they did a pretty good job.
Our expectations were pretty low.
Yeah.
But my expectations were really low when you told me about that T. Piper match, the boxing match, and they were kept very low. My expectations weren't as low as they should have been because that was truly horrendous. This match, I heard how bad it was, and we put it on in here. And I was like, oh, this is actually fairly entertaining.
And it's pretty clever.
I'm getting a kick out of it, you know?
And the crowd is super into it.
To be part of that crowd, we're like, oh, go that way. What are you doing? Go that way.
They managed to take something that could have been 10 minutes of blind fumbling and gave it some drama.
Yeah.
And a large part of that was Jake getting the crowd involved.
Yeah.
And it's actually really well done.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna defend this match.
No, I'm with you on that one, man.
Until I find evidence to not defend this match, and
no
I can't.
Arguments from me.
I can't see it though.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like you and me I get it. It's funny. If it was you and me in the blindfold match, that'd be a terrible match. But these two veteran performers.
Yep, Jake, nothing but charisma.
Yeah, Martel. I'm thinking of Paul Roman, not a horseman, but Paul Roma was.
Yes.
Martel not.
Not. Rick Martel, tons of charisma.
Been around for a long time.
Yep, great storytellers, both of them.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, fun stuff.
It was fun.
Let us know what you
But utterly ridiculous and really weird that was on a WrestleMania card.
Yeah, it should have been like on a main event or something. Like a Saturday night main event or
Superstars.
Superstars, whatever show they had on back then. Anyways. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get another weird match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Any of those could be really weird. Maybe the Demon Lashley one, if they're going to get Gronk involved. That could get kind of weird.
Wait, Demon Lashley with Gronk?
Demon Balor versus Lashley. And then Leo Rush was calling out Gronkowski.
Oh, yeah.
He gets involved. Yeah. That could get weird.
Gronk's not getting involved in that.
Here's my early prediction. Gronk is going to be holding Balor's hand up when he reclaims.
No way, man. Gronk's going to be in the Andre Battle Royal to take it to Jinder.
Oh, that's right.
They still have beef.
That's right, Jinder. Ooh, all right, fair enough. Anyways, thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, he'll be in there with Mojo. He and Mojo are buds, remember?
Mojo. I want to see one of those segments with Mojo talking to the mirror, and then Gronk's on
the mirror.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'd be great.
And he just says, 69.
And then Mojo says,
nice.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, talk to you later.
Bye.
Be a part of Going In Raw today at patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Starting at $1 a month, you can enjoy Going In Raw ad-free, gain access to the daily 30-minute Going In Raw post-show, exclusive merchandise, and so much more. Support Going In Raw today. Click the link in the description.